Heyo, and welcome back to Blood, Books, and Binge-Watching. I'm one of your hosts, Megan, per usual, joined by the ever-enchanting Rachel.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another week filled with unexpected shenanigans and debauchery as we bring you along this immersive tidal wave of emotional whiplash.
We are so excited to be back for the next book in the From Blood and Ash series, The Crown of Gilded Bones. These books continue to ramp it up time after time, make us laugh 1 second, cry the next, from our eyes or down our legs. That's what you're here to find out. Jennifer Armentrout has done an absolutely beautiful job in building this world and also then expanding upon it in lengths that at least I truly cannot fathom the way that this woman's brain works. The depth of the characters, the creatures that we're going to learn more about this book, and just like the history of the world and the territories and all of that has been really fascinating to continue breaking down. And we're only on the third book.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Before we dive in, we'd like to once again thank you guys, all of our listeners and supporters. That first Kingdom of Flesh and Fire episode was thick. She was thick. And we truly can't say how much we appreciate all of you taking the time to listen to us, because there are hundreds of podcasts out there and you're taking the time to choose ours. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That was 3 hours long. That's getting close to Lord of the Rings extended edition lengths. So, as a Lord of the Rings girly myself, I appreciate you.
Yes. Dedication.
Dedication is the word. To kind of quickly summarize kind of the last few pages or so of Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, Poppy has just summoned all of the Wolven, and Queen Iluana is kneeling before her, as is Castile, and the queen has now proclaimed her the new queen. Queen Poppy Denier. And that's where we left off. What a cliffhanger.
For real. An intro.
Like, I think we brought up at the end of From Blood and Ash as well, or maybe it was the end of Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, but like just the way that she ends those books on such a high note where it's like we're freaking out, but yeah, I think you said like not in despair. you know?
Yes.
So with that, let us begin with A Crown of Gilded Bones. Chapter 1. We are indeed picking up immediately where we have left off. Poppy describes Castile in a really, really beautiful fashion. Like just the way that she breaks down what he means to her as my first, my guard, my friend, my betrayer, my partner, my husband, my heartmate, my everything. This is page fucking 1.
Yeah, the
titles,
the titles of what he has been to her. Like, and she doesn't just say like, oh, my dreamy lover. She like included that, like my betrayer. She covered the full scope, and he is kneeling to her. Like, can we just, oh my God, I'm weak. I'm weak.
Yes. Just supportive after supportive. Kieran now approaches in Wolven form, and we can notice that like the rest of the Wolven are behaving kind of strangely, as in like he looks like he's about to jump and attack Castile. So what the fuck's happening here?
It's really sus.
Very sus. So Kieran's eyes, along with the other Wolven's eyes, are almost kind of glowing with the same white light that Poppy emits when she's healing people. That's kind of what we've learned about so far. And they don't attack yet, thankfully, I guess. But it is revealed that Poppy called them to her. So, like, that's why they were all summoned here. They were summoned by her. And hearing the Wolven approaching from the distance, Alistair confirms that Poppy has, in fact, broken the Wolven Atlantean bonds.
Insane. Yeah, the whole scene is crazy. There's lots of howling. There's birds flying. It's like, what the fuck?
There's just like animalistic chaos erupting around them. And he says that he feels it within his primal notum, which we have not heard before, but we will learn more about that. But I just thought it was very interesting. Like, yeah, the way that it's phrased, like, oh, I feel it in my primal notum.
Can you
like,
imagine?
Okay.
Can you imagine if someone's...
I can feel it in the notum. So yeah, whatever that is. And all of the Wolven are now protecting Poppy, and only Poppy. Nobody else. Everyone else is shit to them. And Queen Iluana explains that, well, Poppy only has like a very tiny drop of deity blood in her. It is enough that it supersedes any other oaths that the wolves have taken. So it's like, oh shit, okay.
Crazy. That's
Tensions
crazy.
grow, and Castile tries to get close to Poppy, where the Wolven like start to kind of come at him a little bit more, but she quickly figures out that she must now control them. If she's broken the bonds, like Alistair says, then that means that she must be able to kind of not necessarily control, but be able to order them in a sense. And she does. She orders them to stand down, and they do. So it's like, okay, like, whoa.
Like alpha mommy now.
Yes, and also didn't really need to open this book with like the Wolven attacking anybody. I wasn't going to be a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
Like, we just opened this book. Can we just take a breather? Oh my god.
For real.
Queen Iluana continues coming in clutch with some more details, and Poppy is glowing. Her glowing is due to the ether or magic that is in her blood. And the mist is an example of ether, of like that similar magic. It's the essence of the gods, if you will. The queen knew what Poppy was the moment she saw her, so someone's got explaining to do. Like, people have been hiding shit from her. But of course, like, it's not now, because they're not like Castile. They don't say, we'll talk about this later, and then they show up at your door 5 minutes later. They say, we're going to talk about this later, and we just don't know when that's going to happen. So
yeah.
Great.
Not very helpful.
Thanks for the, yeah. Oh, I have a wealth of
nothing.
information, but I'm not going to tell you anything yet. Like, okay, thanks. Kieran shifts back to his human form, and is naked, per usual. And Poppy starts telling them that, Kieran and Castile, I should say. She makes them promise that they will never attack each other again. They're like, you have to promise me you're never going to do that again, because I didn't like that. And, and they promise, they're like, promise we won't fight. It's cute.
It is cute. It's a really cute scene considering the clusterfuck we just walked into.
Exactly. Like any sort of time of relief that we can grasp, we're going to grasp. And also, we're going to just call him Cass now. It's time to call him Cass. They are married.
It is.
Yeah. A quick throwaway line. Oh, where's Beckett? I don't know. But Castile orders Nail and Emil to go find him and bring him back alive. And then Cass starts to get super hot and protective, and it's always hot.
Favorite.
It's always hot. Because word for fucking word out of this book, Poppy describes him, quote, Castile was incredibly strong and unbelievably fast. Rid our brains of the Twilight rot.
Twilight! Oh!
Release us from Stephanie Meyer's grip. And he does say, a move against my wife is a proclamation of war against me. Their fate is already sealed. Yup. But that's not all. They immediately kind of slow head turn. Sights are set on Alistair. And Cass orders the guards to seize him. And, he may not have evidence of anything, but, like, Alistair's great-nephew just led Poppy into a stoning. So, like, that's a child that was convinced to do this. There's got to be connection there. And, they don't have necessarily the normal due process. So Cass is like, yeah, take them. We'll question them, whatever. And, Alistair tries to talk his way out with his big fat mouth. And Calistair. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that ship. I don't want that ship. Oh no.
That's the like crack ship from hell.
That it is. I hate that. That just came out of my mouth. Oh Lord. Alistair, in the process of trying to talk his way out, says that, Castile, you can't order the royal guard around because you're not king. But if Poppy was just declared queen by Iluana, that makes him king. And it's like, yes, true that. Exactly. And then Alistair just continues to, like, verbal blow after blow at Castile, just trying to, like, break him down in whatever way he can. And, Castile never wanted to be king anyway. Like, he always wanted Malik to take the throne. So, like, did you just give up on rescuing Malik? Why are you so eager to take the throne now? It's just, like, fucking
such
rude.
A fuck.
What have you done, Alistair?
Fuck, yeah, really.
Oh, God, he's just so fucking rude, and his stupid big mouth. And in that process of, Alistair saying that reveals to Castiel's parents what his plans were as far as going to find Malik, which his parents did not know about. So he explains that he in fact did not marry Poppy as a ploy to free Malik. She hasn't been a part of that plan for a long time. Stuff that's we've already heard, explained. And Poppy also, though, isn't necessarily queen yet because she has to be officially crowned. So it's like, okay, so it's like that middle ground between like a US election and when the inauguration is. I guess it's like you don't have any powers, but like you'll get there when you're official.
Yeah. Like she just has the title right now. That's about it.
And we also remember how Alistair had previously mentioned how Castiel would have been his son had fate not like made it different, and we thought it was a whole like Littlefinger wanting to like fuck his mom. That's not it. It was just because he was going to marry Shay. It was just like a son-in-law thing.
Yeah.
So just wanted to fill that little plot hole in there. Not necessarily plot hole, but that little detail that was kind of left unanswered. And all of a sudden an arrow is fired from somewhere. Huh?
Fuck.
What? Jasper lunges forward, shifting in midair. Once again, Twilight. And the arrow hits him in the shoulder, but he falls to the ground and turns a gray, palish color. He's like turning to stone. So arrows are flying all over the place. Another one hits Kieran, turns him to stone. He's freezing cold as well. What the fuck's going on? Are they what? And all the other Wolven in the distance can be heard like yipping and howling. So like obviously they're being attacked. We're in tears. Like we're just confused tears. And Castiel's like holding her close, protecting her, and then he's hit with multiple arrows and falls to the ground, cold, lifeless, gray. She can't feel any of his emotions anymore. It's chapter 2. It's chapter 2.
I'm fucking tired.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Too damn bad.
It's too damn bad. So yeah, he's gone. There's no heart beating. He's hard as stone. I'm gonna start crying again.
No, he's gone.
And Poppy, right?
Fucking lighter. We don't have a lighter.
We need like a whole menorah of lighters.
Fucking shrine
in honor.
I'm gonna get that Castiel body pillow and make a fucking shrine.
So Poppy rightfully pops the fuck off and starts killing everybody in this courtyard. They also happen to be wearing like the same kind of masks and robes that the people who were stoning her were wearing. So we can see this is, okay, it's a repeated attack, if you will. She is stabbing, she is slashing, she is killing and murdering.
Yeah, and she talks about how she has this oily, soul deep rage. And I really just want to emphasize on that because like I know that I have had that feeling before of just being like just so fucking angry. Where you just feel it throughout your entire core being. Now I haven't done what she did. But she also comments that she has this tang like metal in the back of her throat and she burned like fire in her veins. So now I'm thinking like, oh, title of the book come into play. Title of the last book coming into play. And then the last thing she mentions is it tasted like death and not the kind that occurred here, but the final kind. So I was like, oh, fuck. A little bit of like death incarnate.
Yeah. Because in addition to feeling all of those things, she now starts to hear a woman's voice come from inside her. And I'm just going to read this word for word because there was no other like great way to try to describe who she is seeing. Hair like moonlight as she thrust her hands deep into the ground. Some inherent knowledge told me that she was where this temple now stood, but in a different time, back when the world was an unknown place. She threw back her head, screaming with a kind of pained fury that throbbed relentlessly inside me. Silvery white light drenched the soil, radiating out from where she touched. The ground cracked open, and thin, bleached white fingers dug out from the dirt all around her, nothing more than bones. Her words reached me once more. I am done with this. All of this.
I got full goosebumps. Full goosebumps. Also, hair like moonlight. I'm telling you, we're fucking on to something. You know, the whole like in the first book where I was saying moonlight keeps being brought up when Castile is around. Moonlight this, moonlight that. I know it's a fantasy book. Okay, I know. But I'm gonna bite onto this and hold on to it.
Oh, and granted, we're only 3 books in,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if JLA's putting something in there,
Something.
and there's a pattern to be found,
There is. We're gonna
there's a
fucking
pattern
find
there.
it.
Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Poppy uses her magic to grab the assassins and like start cracking their legs and their arms and all of their bones and like just in their twisted like awful ways, and it's like horrifying, but also we're just like, yes, kill them.
Sacrifice them.
Yes. She then, as happened before, she spots him, the man responsible for all of this, Alistair. This fuck. He's standing there looking like a smug fucking asshat. Like, this is exactly what he wanted. This is what he planned, what he expected. And I need to just note, I hated this fucker from page goddamn 1. I know we couldn't hint about it when we started doing this podcast, but when we were like reading this as a group, I immediately, the second he stepped in there, I'm like, this man is trying to take Victor's place. He's going to manipulate her. And especially when we've seen him just stirring the pot in public and like constantly confronting the two of them being together, like Castile and Poppy being together. And he's just, he's a little finger dick cheese piece of shit.
He is. You did call him out. You did pick up that immediately. Because I remember when we were chatting, when we were reading in real time, I was like, oh, Alistair seems like exactly what Poppy said. Like, oh, he could be like Victor. And you're like, no, fuck him. He's a fucking snake.
We don't know this man from anywhere. He just pulled up with his big ass mouth, and we're just like, oh, he's just an old man. He just blabbing with his big old man mouth. No, he's a conniving little shit stain.
He is. He's
him.
He's horrible.
Unfortunately, though, Poppy gets knocked out at this moment. She wakes up in a cell with her hands bound, with these like bones and roots. So she's not in chains. She's also not in a cell. She's in a crypt, and there's like dead bodies around her. A stranger appears and informs her that these like bone shackles are the bones of ancients, and they are unbreakable. Nyktos created these kind of magical bones when he ruled over the dead in the Shadowlands. And Jansen gives him like this big Khaleesi treatment. It's really, I had to point out, I was like, I don't think we have to include all of his names. And I'm like, no, of course we do. So Nyktos is known as the Asher, the one who is blessed, the bringer of death, and the guardian of souls, the primal god of common men and endings. So not nearly as long as Queen Daenerys Targaryen, but quite a mouthful.
Yeah, like what? What a name. Holy shit.
Oh my god, yeah.
Primal god of common men and endings. Good lord.
And also we remember Poppy said that the death that she saw, it was like the final death, the end.
Yeah.
So it's like, more connections perhaps. Also the one who was blessed, like Poppy was blessed. So it's like already there's some like little droplets here and there of like, okay, that could be something, maybe. We'll see.
The web is weaving for sure.
Yes, I like that. I like that way of saying that. This is a special crypt that is holding the remains of other, quote, threats, like Poppy, who were strong enough to warrant being contained in this manner. And this stranger says that everyone from the temple is safe. What? So like Jasper, Kieran, the king, the queen, Castile, like they're all fine. What do you mean? They turned to stone. What do you mean?
They're
and he's
dead.
like, oh, if you want proof, like look at your marriage imprint. And I gave myself the biggest fucking facepalm. I was like, dumb.
Why didn't we think of this?
You have a physical representation on the palm of your hand to show that this man is alive, and not once did we think to check that. Us included. Like, yes. I would never ever harp on Poppy for being dumb in this moment, because it never crossed my mind.
Right.
Never crossed our mind.
We got the beautiful on-page wedding, but we completely forgot.
Literally, oh my god, yes. We finally get the wedding scenes we've always wanted, and then we immediately forget that it ever happened. Oh my God.
I need to fly swatter myself to the face. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, the imprint is very faint, but it's still there. So that means he's alive. Castiel's
Thank
alive.
God.
They're all alive.
Thank God.
And Poppy has been knocked out for the past like 2 to 3 days.
Shit.
And everyone should be like awake soon, pretty much. The bone cuffs also nullify Poppy's ability to use her powers or call the Wolven. So she's like no power. She's full mortal, essentially. And the man is revealed, and it's Commander Jansen.
Commander Jansen. Fuck did he come from?
The one that was in support of Castiel?
Right.
The one that they figured was like on their side? What's going on here? And he says that he supports Atlantia. And then he changes into Beckett.
Beckett. Psych. Not Jansen. It's fucking Beckett.
Like, what? And I fully at that point, I'm like, wait, Jansen is Beckett or Beckett was Jansen? Like, who's who? But
my brain is splitting.
Yeah. We do get the clarification that Jansen is a changeling. So Jansen can change into Beckett. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The real Beckett did not lead her to the temple. That was Jansen posing as Beckett. So where is the real Beckett? Well, Jansen kidnapped him and drugged him to get him to sleep while everything was like going on. But he woke up too early. So instead of just trying to like, I don't know, do something about it, like humanely, Jansen kills him.
Oh.
He was like, oh, he woke up too soon, and he tried to fight me, so I had to end his life. Oh my God, horrible. He was a fucking child.
It's horrible. And poor Ashley from our group that was reading on this. I know that just fucking destroyed all of us, but I felt so bad. Horrible.
There's a part of me that is still in denial about this. I am a firm believer of no body, no death.
Exactly.
And at least, I mean, obviously no future spoilers about any of this, but like from the get, as soon as he's saying that, I'm like, no, I refuse to believe it. I'm gonna gaslight myself. Beckett's still alive somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have
refuse to believe it.
My lighter.
Not that baby wolf boy. No, not that cutie patootie. Jansen implies, back to him, that Alistair knew what Poppy was for quite a while. Not right away, but a while. And she also has more godly blood in her than she knows. And so it's like, okay. So quick trigger warning for like a moment of abuse here coming up. And Poppy does her thing and she fights back with her wit. She's insulting him, calls him a coward. So she punches her and says, you insult me again, he won't be responsible for his actions. All right, dick. Yeah. But Poppy's like, okay, and tells him that she will be the one to kill him and calls him a coward again. And this time he hits her so hard he knocks her out. And no one can be kind to this poor girl except for like the ones that we love.
But I am proud of her for sticking up for herself. Like,
oh my God, yeah. She did not.
At this point now, she's like, no, fuck you. You're not going to talk to me like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, on as sad as it is, she knows how to take a hit, unfortunately.
Right.
So I'm sure that she was just like, yeah, all right, I've been through worse. Hit me. Whatever. As long as she gets the last word, which I love that her and Castiel, they get the last word.
I
know. Alistair appears sometime later as Poppy is trying to work her way out of the restraints, and he goes into some pretty hefty lore and explains why he's chosen to betray her and Castiel. So we're gonna get like a long-winded lore alert here.
Big lore alert.
Big about the history of the gods and the deities being chaos gremlins. Essentially, the gods had a violent tendency, and those descended from them, the deities, carried said violent trait and were like even more chaotic and like unhinged than the gods were. Like a stunning murderous little creature. Anyone? And once the gods went to sleep, the deities essentially were just like, no parents, no rules. They went out of control. Which I think about to the gods. I'm like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
You were just like leaving your chaos children like unattended.
Just dipped out. They're like, Have fun. Good luck.
Yeah. They're like, I need to go take a nap. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And the Atlanteans rose up against the deities because while the deities were the ones that like created the city, they were also actively destroying it out of boredom. And Poppy is a threat because now that she's entered culling, Alistair says like there's no telling how violent or destructive she might become, given that she's already kind of violent with all the stabby stabbing. He calls into question like her impulsivity, and like it's just in such a degrading, like stupid way. Talk
Oh.
about her impulsivity and like give her kind of tips on like, hey, I'm trying to reason with you, I'm trying to give you the logic as to understand why I'm doing this,
Do you
but he
know?
says it in such a way that it's like
It's
it's
condescending.
backhanded.
It's
Yes,
condescending.
thank
And
you.
do you know what this part reminds me of too? And like this just hits close to home. It reminds me of how people with special needs and autism are viewed. And I speak on that from a personal note because my son is on the spectrum. So I just working alongside that and seeing the world of how, there are people out there that view uh neurospicy individuals as needing to be contained inside the box. And I don't know, this whole part with me, just that's what I took away from it. I was like trying to let me think of a way to word this on like not dull your shine, but essentially like dim you down to fit the
Mhm.
mold. So
Yeah, no,
mhm,
that's a really really accurate comparison.
mhm.
And Poppy kind of speaks to it, and she says, as if I have no autonomy and I'm just a byproduct of what's in my blood. It's
Yes.
like, yeah. So just because your brain is wired a certain way,
Mhm.
that means like that means that the rest of you doesn't matter. Like that's so
Mhm.
incorrect.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that she said that. Like I love
I
that
am too.
line.
I love that line. Yeah.
And he ends up blaming her mortality for the impulsiveness. It's like, what the fuck? Just like, I don't know. It's such a weird line that this man rides on of like, are you saying this like and meaning to be so condescending? Or are you just saying this and then thinking like, I'm just explaining myself? Like, are you totally like out?
He's
Ah,
such like a typical like this is gonna sound so vulgar, but I can't word it any other way. He's
say
like
it. Say it.
dick sucking the fucking framework of his government, and it is so annoying.
Oh, I was going to call him a boomer.
Well, wait, he's what, 800 years old? So
Yeah.
technically,
Man, she's right on my wavelength. I got it.
but that is what it is. He's like
Yeah.
he only cares about the greater good, right? Him and
Mm-hmm.
Jansen at this point. That's all they're focused on is preserving their structure. They're like, "Oh, you are a danger because you have this in your blood."
Yeah. And
Anyways,
that's it. Like black and
yeah.
white.
Mhm.
That's it. And deities and blood descendants like them destroyed cities because of like one disagreement. So they're like off on a hand, go fly off the handle for no reason whatsoever. And like there's a
Mhm.
history of this apparently. So like I don't necessarily blame them for having their guard up
Mhm.
when talking about this kind of stuff to Poppy. Sure, have your guard up, but like damn, you're going like so far over what you should be at this point
Yeah.
as far as like precautionary.
Mhm.
And the deities killed each other off one by one, fighting to rule Atlantia. And essentially, this wiped out complete bloodlines in the process. So, for example, we previously thought that the Siren didn't naturally die off, or they did naturally die off, but in reality, another deity actually killed them. That deity was Malek, not Castiel's brother, Malik. This is
Mhm.
Malek,
Malek.
the deity. And I know we don't know him personally, but like bad dude.
Mhm.
If man committed a genocide,
It would be
bad
Malek.
dude.
Yeah.
And Poppy's powers are very similar to Malik's. So it's like, okay, time for lore alert about Malik then. So let's
Mhm.
learn about
Mhm.
Malik some more. And as we remember, he is the one who started a war over Isbeth and made her the first vampire. And he was descended from the god of death and god of life, Nyktos. Nyktos is the god of death and life in one. And Malik went dark side with his magic, pretty much. He would turn emotions on others, just like Poppy kind of did, and would also send his will into others. He would like become death. So he'd seep his will into other people and like destroy them from within by death. It's like really dark and dreadful.
That is, yeah, like think about that for a minute. That's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
That's
Like
really powerful.
yeah, so bad dude. And Poppy is descended from Malek, and Alastair is descended from a long line of protectors of Atlantia, which is why he broke his bond with Malek. Alastair says that they were warned, like his protectors, were warned of Poppy a long time ago. And the prophecy that he's about to quote is, "With the last chosen blood spilled, the great conspirator, birthed from the flesh and fire of the primals, will awaken as the harbinger and the bringer of death and destruction to the lands gifted by the gods. Beware, for the end will come from the west to destroy the east and lay waste to all which lies between." Okay, spooky.
Yeah. And so that, that prophecy is where we now get the full scope of why Jansen and Alistair are so aggressive towards Poppy to take her out, right? Now we kind of understand, okay, they have this prophecy, so that's why they're acting the way they are. They still suck. They still suck.
Yeah.
They're still ass. But from a thematic, point of view, this is like, okay, now we understand why Poppy is such a threat. They think that she's going to become Death Incarnate and fucking wipe everyone out.
Yeah.
Harbinger.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a badass title, but
I mean, because it is. But like, can't fault them for, being worried about it.
Right.
And I mean, a story is only as good as its villain's motivations. So that's kind of what also makes this such a compelling read as well, is because it's like, yeah, we still hate you. You're the villain, but like, we get it. So we're
getting depth.
Yeah. She is rightfully pissed that they are doing all of this based on a bloodline and prophecy. Alistair says that he always sensed that she was a primal descendant since he first looked into her eyes all those years ago. Huh? We find out he is, in fact, the one who was helping her parents escape Solus. He was there the night of the Craven attack. So, like, when he previously told her, like, oh yeah, when we get to Atlantia, I'll ask around in my connections. I'll see if anyone knew them. And no, he immediately was like, oh yeah, I was the one that actually helped them. So, games from the start. Alastair tells her that her parents always knew what the Ascended were, and her mother was a handmaiden of the Queen, which is essentially like their version of the personal guards.
That's new.
But they're like these like badass women, and I love that too. Like, as we saw in the previous book, that like just all of these women in the story end up being the guards. Like, yes, they had like the male guards like Victor and Rylan and Castile obviously as Hawk, but a lot of like the high level, high ranking kind of protections and protectors.
The Guardians of Atlanta. Oh, so badass.
I love that like all of the like tip top badasses are all women, and I love that. Even if they work for, whether they work for the bad guys or the good guys, at least they're all women. While Alistair wasn't the one who betrayed them that night, he would have killed them all the same. So it's like, great, so what the fuck difference does it make? And the Craven were there the night of the attack, and like she was scratched and bitten, as we know, but they were only at the inn because of him, the Dark One. And it's like, whoa. Hold the fuck up. Castile? And he's just like, no, not Castile. We're like, okay, thank fucking God. I don't think I would have been able to handle so someone else was like cloaked to appear like him, or claiming to be him, or just used his title. We don't really know. But once Alistair was told what Poppy could do, he opened the doors to the inn and let the darkness do its work. So it's like, yeah, he's a slimy little finger ass bitch.
Somebody needs to fucking roundhouse his ass.
He does. Yes, please. That would be really fun to watch. And earlier, when Poppy was defended by the Wolven, it's worth noting that all of them changed their forms involuntarily. So if any of them were in their human form, they essentially all shifted at the same time into Wolven form, except for Alistair, because by him severing his previous bond with Malek, he lost his ability to shift at all, which it's like, damn, that kind of sucks. And it's yet another moment where it's like, you still hate them as the villain, but also it's like, oh, well, Malik was a really bad guy and it needed to be done. So Alistair did do the right thing.
Right.
It's just that he kind of goes too hard into it at this point.
Yeah.
He's fallen too far to one side, if you will.
He's very driven by revenge. Like, that's all that he
Yeah.
has in mind.
Yeah. He comes to the conclusion that he can't kill her because the Wolven would riot, and he's also not cruel enough to let her starve in this crypt. So, like, what else could he do? Oh, I don't know. Just give her to the Ascended, like Castiel's original plan. Oh no.
Someone really needs to roundhouse him now.
It's just like, so yeah, he just further doubles down on being a traitorous piece of shit because, like, not only has he betrayed Castile and the king and queen, he's now working with the Ascended in the name of Atlantia, and it's just so backhanded. Like, he claims to do it because he cares for the true Atlantia, and I would be remiss if we didn't bring up just the fucking similarities to what's going on in our goddamn country right now. It's almost like Russia and all that bullshit. Anyway. I like reading this, I'm just shaking my computer like,
I think that we both know what his slogan would be.
We do. He continues to blabbity blabbity blah and run his fucking mouth about his motivations, and it's like, whatever. All in all, Poppy sees that he speaks the bullshit. Yeah. He's just spewing bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. It's just so awful. So it's so annoying to have to read through, honestly. I'm like, can I just skip ahead? But I don't want to skip ahead.
Right.
I don't want to miss anything.
Right.
And he just wants to keep his power at the end of the day. But he just keeps harping on and on about his loyalty to Atlantia. It's like, no, I'm doing it for my loyalty. But Poppy reads him for filth. He's like, no. She says it like, no, you're doing this because if this and this and this and this happens, then you're going to lose your power and your favor with the king and queen. So obviously this is your conclusion because you want to keep your power and you're selfish. It's like, yeah.
She calls him his entire ploy to get a political leg up. She's like, now I got your number.
It's almost like she lived all of her life under the thumb of the same exact kind of people. And later on, she is brought food at some point because finally Alistair shuts the fuck up and leaves. And while she's thinking over everything that he's told her, and it's like at that moment I was like, oh, you know, it would be perfect to like just reflect over all this information on a bath. This is her bath time to reflect, but unfortunately she's in a crypt. She eventually does eat the food, drinks the water that she's brought, but notices that her limbs start to go numb and that they've drugged her, and she passes out. Great.
It's unfortunate. Can't have anything nice.
Nope. She wakes up outside at after some unknown time passes and is covered in all of those same ancient bones and vines, and she's unable to like move her body without any kind of pain. And they are now in Ireland, which is in the wastelands. The Ascended have arrived, and because Poppy will not stop speaking because like she's not gonna go down without a fight, whether she can't move her body, so she's gonna move her mouth.
That's right.
And Jansen gags her to shut her up. So, fuck you. And an Ascended she has not seen before approaches, but before they get anywhere with the conversation, blood sprays and there's a thudding sound. Woo! And there's a bolt protruding from the Ascended's chest. It's like, what?
We're like lulling in dire just pain of hearing Alistair run his fucking mouth, and we're like dying in this.
Yeah, it was like, wait, what? And then another bolt strikes her head. And then something large and white jumps into view, and it's Delano in his woman form. Oh! And then there's Kieran. He's her too. And then, but he's not in woman form. But he comes over and he starts helping her out of the bindings and like breaking all of the bones. And she, of course, asks immediately about Castile, like, where is he? And he tells her, oh, he's currently disemboweling someone. It's like, sounds about right.
BRB.
Yeah, he'll be here soon. And so Jasper, Emil, and Nail have also come, as well as Valen, the king. Like, everyone has come to save Poppy. Oh my god.
This little homeward bound reunion rescue scene is everything.
Shadow coming over the hill. Not my childhood trauma, no. I saw you put that note in there, and I was like, you bitch.
let me replace it with Wolven coming to save.
Much better. And then there he is. Castile's been spotted. And gotta take a moment to describe what Poppy's seeing in this moment. So, Castile, walking towards her, stabs one guy in the stomach, embedding the sword into the wall behind him. Then he grabs another guy by the arm, pulls him towards his mouth, and bites down on his throat, and then shoves his hand through this guy's chest. And then like he lets that guy just drop to the floor, so you know his whole arm's bloody, he's dripping with blood down his mouth and his face, and he looks up at this other guy and says, "What?" And then this guy runs. Because yeah, I would, if I saw that, I'd be like, I'm running. So the guy runs, Castile runs after him, and then pulls him Predator style, man. He shoves his hand through the guy's back and pulls out his spine. I've been doing a Predator, Alien versus Predator, like all those series rewatch, and like so I was just like, oh, he did the Predator move. Yeah, fuck yeah. That's so sick. I love that move.
One of my favorite pastimes.
Ripping spines out of people's necks. Oh my god. Like, Kieran notes that he has never seen Castile this angry before. And we're just kind of sitting there like, that's okay. That's fine.
Pop off, King. Pop off.
Yeah. And we need to also, so sorry, he hasn't even started walking towards her yet. I got ahead of myself. Now he's walking towards her. And I can just semi-visualize this in slow-mo. He stalks toward her, his cloak is like lifting up in the wind, and a man that's like working with the Ascended runs at him, and he catches the guy by the throat and puts his sword through him, drops that guy. He continues walking towards her while blindly taking out a dagger and just throwing it off to the side, which catches someone in the fucking head. We're feral. And I just picture him doing this, no eye contact broken whatsoever.
Yeah, same.
The blind throwing stab. I'm done.
Gray
I'm folded.
King.
I'm on my back.
King. Yep.
I'm ready. They found her because Cass used his compulsion on the royal guards, and eventually they got to Alistair, and Alistair just spilled and told them everything because he's a
why not?
squirmy little bitch.
Yep.
Poppy is finally free, and she feels her power come back to her. So now she's like, haha, my turn. And Kieran says that she's been gone for 6 days and 8 hours. They counted the hours.
He counted.
They counted the hours. Poppy continues to feel the ether coming back and immediately starts taking in all of like the anger around her in order to redirect it right back out at them like she's done before. But she has a moment of thought where she's like, well, wouldn't that make her what Alistair claimed her to be when he was talking to her in the crypt? So instead, she chooses to just shut her senses down and tells Kieran, like, actually, I'm going to sit out of this one. And he's just like, I'm glad to hear you say that, but are you okay? And so they continue, defending her. Castile finds Jansen, and Poppy is immediately there before he's able to do anything with him. She tells him, like, nope, I told Jansen I'd be the one to kill him.
That's right.
And so she stabs him and says, I keep my promises.
That's right.
And then he says, as do I. What? And then Poppy's like thrust backwards, and then like she's all confused, like, what the fuck was that? She looks down, there's a bolt through her chest.
A bolt. A fucking bolt.
Poppy's been shot.
She has been fucking shot.
In the chest.
We are 6 chapters in. I'm fucking tired.
Within 6 chapters. We've thought Castile and Kieran were dead, then find out they're not dead. Then they come back to rescue her, and we think everything's great and victory is at hand, and now Poppy's been shot.
Gets dead.
So she's hit. Oh, fuck. And she's lying in Castile's arms, and Kieran's there too. And I was sobbing trying to write this out. She can hear like the worry in their voices as they're trying to figure out like what they're gonna do, telling her like she's gonna be okay. But she knows that she's not gonna be okay. And this line that she says right here,
where because Castile, like you said, he keeps telling her like, you're good, you're good, and she's reflecting, did I tell him how much he's changed my life? Did I tell him I love, like, oh my god. So sad.
It's so fucking sad. And he tries to offer like his blood, but she can't take it in because she tries to swallow it, but she's like, it doesn't even get past my throat because she can feel her own blood like bubbling up her throat and she's suffocating on her blood. And then lightning starts to strike all around him. Castile starts crying. We're crying. I'm actually gonna start crying. And as she starts to die, a tree takes root and starts to grow really, really fast. And the roots start like overtaking her. And it's another blood tree. But it's just like the literal tree is like growing around her and like consuming her. And so Kieran and Castile like spring into action. We're very confused as to what's going on. We hear Valen telling them, like, you can't do this. Castile's like, any of you tries to come near me and try to stop me, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I don't even care if you're my dad. And it's like, oh shit. Thankfully, the Wolven all, they back them up. And then Kieran rips out the bolt and Castile bites her neck and it clicks. He's gonna ascend her to save her life. He's gonna do what is a huge, huge, huge no-no. The thing that started the War of Two Kings that Malak did with Isbeth. Because also by ascending her, that means Poppy's gonna be a vampire, right? What? Oh no. And so it's like
a whole new woman.
He's gonna do anything and everything to save his woman. And she feels herself start to drift and die, and she describes as being enveloped in death's lush, dark spice. So she's floating in an endless void and sees a silvery light that orders her to drink, and then it fades, and she's floating again, and then she's a child standing in front of her father at the inn. We're back in the memory. It fades in and out among hearing like familiar voices around her. It's very like it's very Fellowship of the Ring when Frodo's kind of coming out of consciousness and you get the fading Elrond.
You'll just occasionally get one face looking over, fade back out. Another one comes in. How you doing? Fade back.
How you doing? You good? Okay.
Sorry, have to cope with this through dark humor.
Seriously. And we get more details about her memory that her parents were actually warned that the Dark One was coming for Poppy that night. So I'm sure that is one of the reasons why they were leaving as well. And she now sees her mother grab a black dagger to fight with, which is a new detail that we haven't seen before. But before we can kind of get further into the memory, it fades. And then Poppy sees the same woman from the temple with her silver hair and green eyes. This time she's crying a single tear of blood. Ooh.
Interesting.
And she says something that we do not know. DLA does not tell us what this is. And then Poppy fades again. And then sometime later, she starts waking up. And she first feels like how hungry and thirsty that she is. Then she's feeling that her skin is like too sensitive. She can feel the scratchiness of like the sheets. Her body's very heavy and, drowsy. And she opens her eyes to see a man sleeping in a nearby chair. And he wakes up, but it's worth noting, so we know that this is Kieran by the way that she describes him. But from Poppy's point of view, in her brain where we are, she feels like a connection to him, but has no idea who he is. She keeps describing him as this male or that male.
Yeah, she has like no recollection of who anyone actually is.
Yeah, and given that, she lunges at him, trying to get at his throat and feed off of him, but he holds her off and he's just like, fuck, you're goddamn strong. And then an arm comes around, grabs her by the waist, smells of spice, and we hear like this little whisper.
You can't eat Kieran. That would make me sad. Well, who do we think that is? Who do we think that is, everyone?
Castile! Wow! Once again, she does not know who this man is. She's like, oh, another man grabs me from behind. And we're just like, oh, girl, if you only knew. And he offers up himself, like, no, you don't want to eat Kieran. He wouldn't taste very good. You want me. You want me, actually. And so she's like, okay. And it's like, yeah, we were the same. And so she starts to like feed from him like frantically from his arm. And he makes her stop. He's like, he pulls her away. She's like, stop. And he looks at her eyes and they're still green. They're not black like the vampires were. So it's like, okay, so she didn't ascend, at least not normally. And then he offers his wrist again and he's like, gentle. It felt like a dog. Like when you're
did.
trying to get them to like take a treat or something, it's like gentle.
Poppy's coming like a piranha.
What's the gift that we use in the gift that we use in the BBC all the time with the dog being held in midair and he's just like ah. That's what Poppy reminds me of in this moment. So once she starts feeding again, a little bit more calmed down, he tells Kieran like you can go, but Castiel's like, or Kieran's like, fat chance, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, did you just see what I saw? No, I'm not leaving. And so Cass, like, it's kind of cute. Cass like tucks Poppy into his lap while she feeds from him. And like slowly from her POV, she starts like piecing herself back together little bit by little bit. And, you know, her memories kind of start clicking like, oh yes, this man, I recognize his scent and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Castiel's like talking to her as she's coming back, like using these memories he has of her. I think he starts with something like, do you know what my first impression of you was? I don't think that's the exact quote, but he's like reminding her of who she is. And he says, like the entire monologue is so good, but he said, you were smart and strong and brave. And I just like, now I'm going to start crying because it's like, just he validated her from the very beginning. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah. So good. And he's also just telling her this, like, because he's been there. Yeah. He knows what it's like to try to be piecing yourself back together after, you know, being starved of blood, like he was when he was captured. So it's like, having the extra word so she doesn't have to do it on her own. It's so cute. And then, you know what comes after feeding from blood? We know! Castiel looks at her and says, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. And so she straddles him and starts grinding on his lap while she's feeding, still going from the wrist. But he obliges her, and he does the thing where he just like shoves his pants down like just enough to get his dick out, and like then he lifts her up, puts her back down on the you know what, and they are off. They are going for it. They are pound town.
Going to pound down. Around to pound down.
And then Kieran is heard protesting how much blood she's taking. So he grabs her by the waist to try to pull her away a little bit. And then like does this thing where he puts his fingers under her jaw and like lifts her jaw up. Not to look at him per se, but just to like get her away from his wrist. So there's a little bit of like, not restrain, littlest bit of restraint, but he's doing this while she's riding Castiel, and they both finish. So like they just did that with him right there, and it was not like last time where it was just like pressed up against him. Like there was more contact. It's just like, oh shit. Well, let's see what Poppy's gonna feel about that after this.
Everyone's real comfortable.
Oh, yeah. So Kieran leaves, and as Poppy and Cass chill out, her memories of everything come back, and she's okay. She's fully back. Our girl is okay. And they make eye contact, and immediately they want to start fucking again. So they start making out. It's like, hell yeah. Go for it. So he lifts her up and takes her to the bed, and we're like, oh, it's going to be so tender. It's going to be so nice. And then he puts her down and then hovers over her. But then he like does this thing where he puts his arm underneath her and then like flips her onto her stomach. Oh. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like WWE.
And then he starts kissing her all down her back, kisses down around her booty. Then he makes a question like, he makes a comment about like, well, if anyone ever tries to tell you that, you know, I kiss your ass, you could tell them, sure do.
That's right.
So like it wouldn't be Castiel in bed if he wasn't trying to make jokes.
Oh yeah.
And he also then says, I'm not going to last very long, but neither will you. Oh, was he right?
I'm a deliver.
He's right. So then he pulls up her hips to like bring her onto her knees and starts fucking from behind. But then he like brings her chest up so her back is against his chest and his hands are at her throat. And like, yeah, I wouldn't last very long either.
Yeah, the whole fucking and biting is just so insanely hot. Like this entire scene, I was like, oh, we have arrived. We have arrived.
Oh, yes. Only thing is, listen, everyone's got their favorite positions. I totally get it. However, I have never been able to like properly like understand how how a man's dick is supposed to bend. If you are back to front, one, does it just actively hook upwards like that, or is it just long enough that it's still like, obviously not going to go into personal histories, but like that, it always trips me up when I read about positions like that. I'm like, okay, so how long is the dick and how is it bending? Because
where's our romantic expert?
Where is she? Where is she? But yeah, so I'm like, that trips me up a little bit, but it's still very hot. And after that, they rest for a while. And then later they're kind of like sitting down together. And Poppy tells Castile that she loves him because even after like they've shared a ton of these feelings back and forth, she actually hasn't like said the words, I love you.
That's right.
And it's like, oh shit, you haven't.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't even catch that. Wow.
Yeah. And she also calls him Cass for the first time. And he's just like, ooh, I don't, ooh. Like he has the reaction to that we have when he's stalking and bloody.
Yes.
You know?
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty much. And then he tells her he loves her, and then we love them. We love their love. It's just so cute.
So good.
And she tells him,
this is so
you are,
sweet.
Oh, God. You are the foundation that helps me stand. You are my walls and my roof, my shelter. You are my home. And let me tell you, if I had to rewrite my vows, this would be in there. This would be in there.
It's like as good as everything is in this series, the smut is good, the action is good, but like the love is so good.
So good.
So good.
And then, of course, as we assumed, Poppy remembers that she tried to eat Kieran while she was naked.
I feel like that's like a morning after going out, you wake up, you're like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
That happened.
And, so that's definitely going to be a joke later for between the three of them.
Has to be.
Gotta be.
Has to be.
And she notices that she doesn't have fangs and she is not cold, like the Ascended. So it's like, okay, so those are two clues that she did not carry those traits over. So the third, can she be in the sun?
Right.
We don't know. She just is like, well, let's test that theory. Here I go. And she like runs out onto the balcony into the sun, giving Cass a fucking heart attack, and then nails out there. So now he's just looking up at her like, hey, Poppy, how you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm naked. So that's yet another person that has seen her naked today, setting records.
Yeah, so it's like, so Poppy ascended, but she didn't ascend, and we're caught at this weird, then she died, and then she didn't. It's like that, I'm dead, I'm alive, I'm dead, I'm alive again, I'm looking at you. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. They are no longer in Ireland, but instead they've traveled to just outside Spess's End. And Poppy recalls that she had seen Cass's memories while she fed, and he says that can happen when Atlanteans drink from each other. So it's kind of reminiscent of when she feeds like her happy memories into people when she was easing their pain. Poppy tells Castile and Kieran, who has returned at this point, all of what Alistair had said when she was captured. First, she acknowledges that Kieran actually cleaned her while she was recovering. So, like, she has these, like, vague flashes of someone, like, smoothing, like, a warm, wet towel over her and, like, being very tender and just cleaning the blood and things off of her. So while it's very intimate, it's in a caring way. It's not a sexual thing. He's just tending to her as, like, technically she's my queen, Yeah. So, yeah. My husband says that all the time, so I couldn't not say that. And anyway, back to business. Kieran confirms that the primal notum is what caused the Wolven to react the way they did around her. And still not really getting super clear on what this primal notum is, but we can assume it's...
It's like, is it a pager? Is it like an old school beeper where it's like
what? Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it's probably like this deep-seated bond kind of deal, I imagine. Yeah. They discuss the breaking of the bonds, and they both tell her, like, don't worry about it.
No big deal.
It's no big deal. It's just like the bond of every Wolven Atlantean. And because like the Wolven and Atlanteans have come to form like strong friendships outside of the bond. So if there were a pair of them that were bonded, they've become very close regardless of that bond, like Castile and Kieran have. So, if anything, they just made room for her. Oh, talk about found family!
For real.
Ugh. Cass and Kieran teach her a little bit about her powers, tell her that, like, she should listen to it. It won't steer her wrong, because, like, Castile has a similar kind of feeling when he uses his powers. And then her mortality is called into question. Big topic, her mortality. When is she gonna die? Is she gonna die? I don't know. Because is she a deity or just descended from one? Like, her violent tendencies, you know, because the gods went to sleep the older they got, the more bored they got, which is what made deities so dangerous. So, like, will she have to do that? Is that something they have to be concerned about?
Yeah.
So,
like, the gods are asleep because they're bored, you know? But honestly, it's a whole ass mood. Honestly.
Right. Yeah. Because, yeah, no, I mean, I wish I could nap when I was bored. Instead, I scroll TikTok, but that's not better. So we don't know what that makes Poppy. Is she immortal? I'm never saying so much in public in my life. I'm not gonna even try to attempt. Of course, now I can't.
What?
Oh, what's the lead singer's name of Evanescence?
Amy Lee.
Amy Lee, thank you.
Yeah.
I could never attempt to try to even sound like her because angelic.
Oh, I know. I can do that.
I feel like,
wake me up.
You know what? I feel like Evanescence. Oh my god! I feel like Evanescence is very From Blood and Ash. Like, it's got like the dark love.
Yes.
Like oh man.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to look up some playlists.
Someone asked JLA if she is a Evanescence fan. I bet she's gonna say, "Fuck yeah, I am."
Oh my god, JLA, give us your Spotify playlist for all these characters. I've only just started learning this. I was in College of Lore the other day on the BBC, and on the BBC, not the British network, the Bardic Book Club. And I was in the College of Lore channel, and I was like talking to some of the authors in there, like, oh, how do you formulate these like playlists? Because I just find it so fascinating for like that's how their brains work, because mine does not work that way, and it's just I find it so cool. Anyway, Castile drained her and replaced her blood with his, ascended her. So she no longer has mortal blood anymore. So whether she's immortal or not, we don't know, but she definitely is not going to live a normal mortal lifespan. Castile and Kieran says that she smells final, but not like an Atlantean or Ascended. So she's something else completely. Great.
Hey, at least they're not talking about smelling her arousal for once.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
And onto the Wolven bonds. So, after the war tensions were high between Atlanteans and Wolven, there was one of Castile's ancestors named Elaine who summoned Nyktos, Theon, and Layla to settle things. So they needed the help from the gods. Essentially, they were like, all right, if you guys aren't going to behave, I'm calling mom and dad. So that's what they did. They called mom, dad, and the uncle. Like, they called their dad and the cool aunt and uncle or whatever. And no one else was in the room where it happened. And I had to throw the Hamilton in there. And the first bonding between Wolven and Atlantean came from said meeting. So whatever happened in there, they had their little group therapy and figured shit out, I guess. Another topic change. Alistair's a big dumb idiot. That's all. She tells him that Alistair was there the night at the inn, the night her parents died, and fills them in on the conversation that she had with him in the crypt. And guess what? Alistair's actually still alive.
That's right. He did not die.
He did not die. They kept him alive, and because he is all poppies. And I just love that they save her, these people, for her to kill.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Jamie, Alistair, that is like...
Yeah, Jansen, she does for herself. She's like, she tells Castile, like, nope, my turn.
Yes, and Castile is like, here, my queen. I bring you gifts.
So yeah, the fact that they have the forethought of being like, oh no, this is also her. This is her kill as well.
Yep.
And so they start getting ready to leave. And because they're going to travel right through the Skotos. So there's no stopping overnight this time. So yay, no nighttime walks in the mist. Great.
God.
And Castile and Poppy talk while they're preparing, and they talk more about Poppy's bloodline and being connected to Malek. And Cass continues to ask Poppy if she's okay. She keeps saying yes. He keeps saying, I don't believe you. And the thought appears, because Poppy didn't turn vampire, so maybe Ian didn't either. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
evidence kind of says the contrary, but they can't know until they know. You know, don't know until you know.
Right.
Because it's, you know, because Castile's like, no, I've had eyes on him. Like, he's not seen during the day. He's definitely got black eyes. Like, there's all of
You
the
guys-
evidence is like, girl, he's a vampire. I'm so sorry,
You guys
Poppy.
are not the same.
They are not. And they head to the stables and meet up with Nail and Kieran. And then, yay, said he's back. Yay, horse moment. Poppy is like surprisingly able to just like hoist herself onto the saddle, no problem.
And it's a horse.
Yeah. Like without thinking about it. She's just like, oh yeah, here I go. Up I go. And Castile's like, wait, get the fuck down. Come over here. And she's just like, what? And he's just like, you just did that by yourself. Get over here. She's like, but I just got up here. He's like, I don't care. So he gets her off the horse and he's like, hit me. She's like, what? And she's like, no, I don't want to hit you right now. And so then Castile's like, all right, well, I guess, hey, Nail, have you heard about this book that Poppy likes to carry around? She's really in love with it. And she immediately just hits him right in the stomach. So he just knows, he knows that point, that trigger point for her. And it's just in such a fun teasing way of like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And once again, Twilight, leave me alone. This is so, I was originally going to say it's honestly more Bella and, not Jasper. No, Emmett.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that kind of tussle, if I remember correctly.
The arm wrestling.
The arm wrestling, yeah. Because I'm like, Bella doesn't hit Edward because Mormons don't do that. So, so Bella, so I just say Bella and Edward. You know, whatever.
Yeah. And it like turns Cass on. It's like, and Poppy mentions that she like can sense the lush spice. There's that like, you know, description again of Cass's arousal. And she just looks at him and goes, there is something so wrong with you.
And meanwhile, that happens a lot. We don't really point out just how often she says that to him.
It's a lot.
But it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And then Kieran shifts and the other Wolven start appearing around them as they kind of exit and start to head out. And then the trees they notice appear like something's been pressed like down on the tops of them. So they're not like broken, but they're bent. We're not broken, just bent. You know? And we can learn to love again.
That's right.
And but they don't need to because they're already in love. Anyway, I immediately was like, oh, UFOs.
And why not? Why not? Let's throw
At this
it in
point,
there.
yeah, why not? And as they're walking through the mist, they notice that it's behaving differently. Like, it's moving more intently, it's swirling, it's more active. But then suddenly, like, it clears a path for them, which does not happen. They're like, that's not how that's supposed to go. So it's like, okay, weird. And as they are about to get to the golden trees of Ios, Poppy's like super excited to see all these like pretty gold trees and leaves. She looks up, but they're all red because all of the trees are now blood trees. So these blood trees just like keep popping up over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's happening really often in this book.
And we wonder, like, are the trees changing because of what happened to Poppy? Like, because there's way too much overlap between her and these trees sprouting up wherever she is that, like, all right, it's got to be connected, but we just have no idea how. And she falls asleep on horseback and dreams about the dead deities saying, you'll end up like us, which is so creepy. But a voice breaks through them and it sounds like Delano. And he's saying, you are Mea Lisa, wake up. It's like, oh, weird. And she wakes up. It's like, what the fuck? Okay, you're dreaming about Delano. Don't blame you. And they are now south of Scion's Cove, where they're holding Alistair, and King Valen is also here as well. And they say, tonight will end in death by Poppy's hand. Hell yeah.
Woo!
They are greeted by Emil, and he gives her back her bloodstone dagger yet again. Like we said, bungee. Get a bungee.
Get a strap.
You know, speaking of my my rewatch that I've been doing of all the Alien and Predator movies, if anyone has not seen Prey, that came out on Hulu a couple years ago. I think it's by David Trachtenberg. About it's with the indigenous people.
Yes, I've seen that.
Holy shit, this movie's
It's
so fucking phenomenal.
so
But
good.
it's now reminding me of her, where the main character in that, she like fashions her own rope, essentially, and
Yes.
ties her axe to a rope and has that so she can fling it and pull it back to her. And I'm like, come on, Poppy!
Oh, yes.
Think like this smart indigenous woman. Let's go.
Come on.
Yes. But yeah, go watch Prey if you haven't seen it, and watch it with I believe it's Comanche dub is really, really cool.
Okay.
But I don't think you can stream it, so you might have to like sail the seas to find that one. But either way, it's so fucking good. I love that movie. Anyway, so she has to give news of Beckett's death and to bring us back down. She has to bring news of that to the Atlantean that we met when we first met Beckett, like a while ago. His name's Quentin, and Poppy uses her gift to like soothe his sorrow, and everyone notices wisps of silver flowing into her eyes. And it's very similar to the silver in the woman that she saw when she nearly died. So like, and Poppy knows what was whispered to her by this woman, and that was the answer to everything. What was said, JLA? Oh my God.
Stop being so cryptic.
I understand that it's for a purpose, but like, we're supposed to be in like kind of Poppy's point of view almost. I know it's third person, but like, we're almost in Poppy's point of view still.
We need answers.
And if she heard it, why didn't we hear it?
Need some context clues. Give me a hint.
Please. So they go to see Castile's father first and show him that Poppy didn't ascend. Cass and his dad start going at each other back and forth, and then Poppy steps in, essentially being like, hey, knock it off. Were you the ones that were stoned, captured, and nearly killed? No.
Yeah, like
so
who has been drugged through the mud here? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, how he's like, Castile would literally do anything to protect Poppy, just like has me in an absolute puddle. You know, standing up to his parents, slaughtering people, ripping hearts out. Oh, so good. And then just something about partners like standing up to the parent, either their parents or their partner's parents when it's warranted, okay? But standing up for their partner, oh my God, it just does something to me. It just, going to bat.
Oh, same. Because like Megan Lore, my ex from back in the day, did not stand up to me in front of his parents. And let me tell you, it fucking sucks. So find you a man who's going to do that, because
we'll go to bat for you.
I mean, obviously, in-laws, you want your in-laws to be great as well, but that's a whole other story. But yes, stand up for your partner. Valen, the king, refuses to give them any details about Poppy's heritage until Iluana joins them. So, okay, great. Not only have we now had to wait to get to this point to see you when you said you'd tell us, but now he's like, well, actually, I want my wife to be here. And it's like, all right, fine. We'll give you that.
There's a lot of demands going on here.
There are. And Cass and Poppy do agree to this because they do still have to deal with Alistair. So they're like, it's all right. We got something to keep us preoccupied. And everyone has been sworn to secrecy. So no one's going to know that Poppy has been ascended. So even if she's not a vampire, they are not revealing what went down at all. Like what Castile even tried to do. Yeah,
something happened.
Poppy goes to thank Valen before he exits, and he tells her, you don't have to thank me. You're family now. Of course I would help you.
Like, I think that's the first time she's heard that in her life.
Her family, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so huge moment there. And it's just because, she's never had, it's been very, 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 very long since she's had a family, and especially one that's like this. And Castile goes to get Alistair, but says like, oh, I'm not going to reveal that you're alive, so you go hide in the trees with, I think it's like Delano or Emil, one of them. And so, because of course he wants to play games. He's got to play games. And honestly, Alistair's a piece of shit. Fuck with his mind before you kill him, please. So Alistair and several others that kind of attacked them are let out of the crypts. Poppy is hidden, ultimate shock value. And Cass goes and swipes his sword and severs all of the heads of all of the men that are kneeling in front of him and stops just short of Alistair.
Whoa! Like, so badass.
Yes!
So badass.
Immediately, Alistair is running his mouth. He just thinks he can talk himself out of fucking everything. Not this time, baby. And then Poppy reveals herself, and he is he is totally shocked. He's like, you're supposed to be dead. Am I not? I'm like, fuck yeah. And she stabs him. And instead of making it quick, she lets him bleed out and says, some don't deserve the honor of a quick death.
Mother is mothering.
Bow down. Mm.
God.
And as he bleeds out, howls begin to rise up, and the Wolven arrive and devour what's left of Alistair. Become wolf shit, bitch. That's damn right.
That is such a satisfying death. And,
so good. Because, yeah, you do wonder about that. Like, man, how are you going to make this, like, really feel like, yes, we got him, we did it, instead of it just being like, oh, okay, your head's cut off, you're dead now. It's like, nah, he gets Ramsay'd, bitch. Yes.
Fucking hate that guy.
Yeah. So long. Farewell. We will not miss you. Continuing on, they ride back to Atlantia, and Poppy starts apologizing for everything. And Castile tells her again that none of this is her fault. And she also can't be fine. Like, there's no way she can be fine after everything that has happened to her and around her. Like, no way. No way. But also it gave me a flashback of Good Will Hunting, which it's not your fault. And I'm like, don't you come at me, Robin Williams.
I know.
Don't do it.
God.
I've only seen that movie once, and it was because of that scene, and I'm never watching it again because I go to therapy for a reason.
Yeah. I think he says a quote of something like, basically it's okay to not be okay. Like,
yeah.
Just so sweet.
Yeah. And in her defense, she is around all these people. So it's like, I wouldn't want to break down necessarily either.
Yeah.
Because while she keeps saying, like, I'm fine, like, we know, he knows.
And she even, like, she tries to cover her face because she's, like, starting to cry. And he's like, don't smack your face. Do you want to smack my face? Like, even still teasing her to bring her out of feeling so bad.
Yeah. And Poppy thinks over what her and Castile hope to accomplish with the Ascended, trying to avoid starting another war. But a voice inside her says, sometimes war cannot be prevented. And this voice doesn't entirely sound like her own. So, interesting. Entering the city, they are greeted with thousands of citizens. Some of them are crying. Because it's been a while since Castile has been home, and many of them likely thought he was dead. And we get this wonderful description of all of the buildings of Atlantia. And like,
it goes really in depth.
It's so beautiful. How it's described is like, it's just very bright. There's greenery on like all of the rooftops, which I thought was so cool. Like rooftop gardens everywhere. It's just very self-sustaining at the end of the day.
And then I think this is me just like looking for clues, but it's pointed out that there's buildings that capture the reflection of the sun. I was like, that's interesting.
Well, I must have not interpreted that. I like that. And Puppy feels confusion from the crowd, but not anger, and worries that it will eventually shift when they learn what she's done, because she did kind of kill one of the highest ranking Atlanteans.
Yeah.
But slowly, the Wolven in human form fall to their knees and start yelling Lisa. And in Old Atlantean, the language of the gods, it means my queen. And there's no way that you don't picture Daenerys walking through when they're calling her Misa.
Combined that with Lisan al-Gaib. Lisan al-Gaib.
Oh my god.
Lisan al-Gaib.
Oh, don't make me want to go watch Dune again.
Strap in for a 6-hour marathon.
Lisan al-Gaib. Yep, that's exactly that. Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, it means my queen. So she is a queen in more ways than one, apparently. They arrive at the stables, and we meet Harlan, who is kind of just one of the workers of the palace. He's very nice, very welcoming. And turning around, they see that like hundreds of Wolven have followed them into this courtyard. And they all shift at once into their human form. So there's just a massive crowd of nude people. Hundreds of nude people. I would just be like,
my queen.
Oh my god, yeah. And they all kneel naked until Jasper shifts again, and the rest follow suit, and they leave. And Poppy's, a little taken aback. She's like, wow, I was a virgin like a couple months ago. Now I'm seeing tits and dicks everywhere.
What a welcoming.
So Cass and Poppy go to find their room where he has stayed previously. Because he also mentions, I totally missed this the first time. So he has quarters at, this palace, but he also has his own townhouse. I was like, oh, so you're like Reese.
Yeah.
You got multiple homes. Okay.
That's right.
And I mean, he is royalty, so like, why are we surprised?
Yeah.
And Shower has been spotted, and Poppy is just in shock. Welcome to the world of indoor plumbing. Take me to Atlantia. Yes,
that's right.
Like, that's my thing. I love Prithian. I love Akatar. There's no indoor plumbing there.
Yeah.
No shitting in a bucket.
That's right.
Not in Atlantia. And showers. And she catches her reflection in the mirror and actually notices that her scars are still there and noticeable, but they're kind of faded. So it's like interesting. It must have been from his blood, I guess. Puppy's concerned that she's going to continue changing, and Castile tells her he will continue loving her no matter what, just as she has continued to love him. And he says, no matter how much more you change, you are still her in your heart. Her being the one that he loves. Poppy. Penelope Balfour. Denier now. Cass continues to press her about if she's okay. She says she is. He doesn't believe her. We don't believe her. He helps her undress so he can look at her and check her wounds. So not like look at her, but look at her. And he just wants to care for her. He's like, I just want to check you, make sure you're okay. And so he essentially undresses her until she's wearing like a slip, and he has this moment where she talks about her thin little straps, and like he just loves thin little straps.
They love all of these main male characters love a skimpy nightgown. They all love a skimpy nightgown.
That they do. He tells her that the old Atlantean inscribed into their rings means always and forever. They are married, which means they share everything, even if they think it may worry the other. Speaking of, Poppy's not okay. So, his super sweet and supportive words bring her to tears. And once again, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah. I think I lied earlier. This is the part where she's burying her head in her hands, and Cass says to her, you don't have to be okay with everything that's happened. So yeah, this entire scene, again, that hits so deep on a personal level. If anyone has ever had any type of trauma, right? Sometimes you have that residual guilt that you hold on to, and you try to just like grin and bear it and put your shield up. And Cass is like, you can be upset. So I just love that.
And it's also just like another it's a step in their relationship as well. Like having a full-on breakdown in front of the person that you care about is a huge step in a relationship.
Absolutely. Huge. To be that vulnerable and that bare with someone and still have them just hold you and hold space for you. Like that is the definition of a partnership in my mind.
Yeah. It's wonderful, and it's so tender and loving, and just more evidence that just how sweet they are to each other and how good they are for each other. So he holds her in his lap on the floor and just kind of lets her cry it out. And once she kind of stops and feels up to it, he's like, you ready to take your first shower? And she's like, yeah. And it's just like, no, like, cause damn, yeah. Besides crying in the shower, a shower after post cry shower, it's delectable.
Top tier. Yeah.
It is lovely. So he gets in first, and she just fully nude, obviously. She just drinks him in, as she should. And so therefore gets a steamy look in her eyes. And Cass, of course, gets hot from that. And they start flirting. And he slowly gets her out of her slip. And, teases her about, like, the places that he can feed from, like her boob and her vagina. And I'm like, no, thank you. Like, that kind of makes me...
I might accidentally smack you.
I'm like, no. Bad, like, flick him on the nose like a dog. But she does take interest in both. And it's like, hey, go for it, girl. Hey, you do you.
You gonna match my freak? Oh.
Cass is gonna match her freak.
He is gonna match her freak.
And he tells her that so far he's been in control with her when they've like fucked. but if he were to get inside her now, he'd lose it. It's like,
Please do.
what does that look like? I need to know.
Please
for
do
science.
it. Please do it.
He leads her into the shower, and she fights the urge to kind of like cover herself up and like felt. And but not because of like her looks though.
Yeah.
And but we get this like beautiful, wonderful descriptor of like her frame and just how much positivity she now sees in herself.
Yeah.
And I adore this quote because, it says, "No matter how much I trained with weapons and my body, my waist would never be narrow, nor my hips ever be slender." Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Like,
embrace it.
Oh, that is such a moment as someone who also has a wider frame to learn that, it's not about there's something wrong with me. It's just simply how I'm built. And god damn, that hits so fucking hard. I love that line so much.
So good.
And Cass tells Poppy, "You're beautiful and you're mine."
Damn straight.
Ooh, not one for possessiveness, but like, damn. And he teases her while he cleans her. So like he's got like soap in her hair and like washing her hair. And then he starts washing her body. And he tells her to sit on the in-shower bench. So like we know that he's royalty, but like, oh, you got money.
Yeah.
Because it's also like one of the ceiling showers as well. So like JLA writes this like, yeah, this is like $1 million home level shower. This is not like next door in my apartment.
You know what a fucking Home Depot remodel of that costs? It's expensive. It's not cheap.
And so she sits on the bench while he cleans her legs and like up to where like she wants him most, up between the legs. And then he just proceeds to eat her out. And he tells her to grab the bench, followed by a good girl. And I'm just gonna... I just gotta leave.
Yeah. I can't, as Connor says, I can't look at you right now.
The second that they whip out the good girl,
I'm gonna start getting red.
I'm gone. I'm gone. Then comes the part that I'm not a huge fan of. He grazes her clit with a fang, only like scratches it, only drawing a small amount of blood, but like it like makes her feel the most like intense sensation that she's ever felt. And I'm like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Get away from me.
Back the fuck up.
Yeah, no thanks. If anything, you can bite into my leg and then go back.
Yeah, because
that's sensitive enough as it is, okay?
Yeah. Listen, we're not shaming anyone, okay?
No.
We are not ones for kink shaming, but my personal preference,
our personal, no, we're gonna pass. But we're very happy for Poppy in this moment.
Absolutely, you go, girl.
Because after she finishes, Cass scoops her up and takes her back to bed. And it's also worth mentioning that the only reason that the scene is so hot is because of the fact that it is such a large shower. I don't know about any of you guys, but showering in a normal, run-of-the-mill apartment level shower, impossible.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've all seen the memes. You have one person that's warm in the shower and the other person's just like, ah. Yep. And then, oh my God forbid the water changes temperature on you, like our shower here, like we'll just swap, the water goes from nice and warm to freezing cold or scalding hot. If there were two of us in there at the same time, there would be third-degree burns. It's just so bad. So know your what is it? Know your privilege when it comes to how big your shower is, okay?
Check your square footage before you start endeavoring on that.
Yes. Safety first. Watch the soap. Before he goes to find them food, Castile makes a comment that the Wolven are outside kind of keeping watch. And Poppy says that she thinks that she's heard Delano and Kieran in her mind before. So just like throws that out there. Like, oh, hey, by the way, I think I've heard them in my brain. It's
no big deal.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. And so he goes to get them food, comes back. After they eat, they fall asleep. And she wakes up sometime later, and Castile's already awake and reading a book. And she's been asleep for roughly 24 hours. And then she kind of does a double take, like, wait, what is he reading? It's a leather-bound book, and it's the diary. It's the
Fucking
diary.
diary. It's mother.
In his reading, he finds one story where Willa says, "The wicked kiss of our kind." So that has him thinking, maybe she's Atlantean or of Atlantean descent. That's interesting. And this story in particular was regarding feeding from the most sensitive areas, and then a threesome. But wait, not a threesome, a foursome.
Ooh.
And Poppy starts getting curious. And then she talks about how she doesn't want to leave the room because once they do, they need to face all of the things that await outside of the bed. And damn if I didn't relate. There are some mornings I wake up and I'm just like, no, because the second I have to get out of bed, and that means the real world exists, and I don't want to do it.
It's a snowball of shit.
Yup. Kieran comes to get them, and Castiel's father has summoned him to talk instead of waiting until they were ready. So originally, when they were waiting on Queen Iloana to get there, he was like, I don't want to tell you any of this without the queen. And they say, okay. And he tells them, just tell me when you want to talk and I'll make myself available. And they were like, okay. And then instead, he's just like, actually, I'm ready now. So you come now. And we're like, okay.
Whatever you say.
As Castiel gets dressed, Kieran hangs out in the room with them, and they start bantering about the diary and how Poppy's curious about foursomes.
She's like, I know that y'all are over here talking politics. I'm over here thinking about anatomy. How can we combine the two?
Yeah. And then Castiel leaves to go speak with his father. And Kieran and Poppy then start to discuss the primal notum. And his people the Wolven are amazed, actually, because he says Nyktos was able to change forms to a massive silver wolf and tells her about how Atlantia functions with their class structures, essentially. It's also worth noting that Poppy is like laying on her side on the bed, and Kieran's next to her, also on his side, kind of like leaning on his hand. So it's like they're just like having such a chill, like friendly moment, just hanging out on the bed as you do, like just chit-chatting about all the stuff. And he says that the Wolven can sense the unrest going around with the crown, because there have been some other things that have happened, kind of adding to the unease between the Wolven and, or the citizens and the Wolven and the crown. I.e., homes have spontaneously caught fire, crops are being destroyed, and businesses are being vandalized, but no one knows who's doing it. So it's like, what the fuck?
Wow. Yeah, that's really powerful.
Yeah. So there's something going on. And Poppy confides in Kieran with what the Duchess told her about her taking the Atlantean crown. If we remember, the Duchess was like super excited when she found out that Poppy married Castiel, because she was like, oh my god, you can take Atlantia now.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you mean? I'm not on your side, so I'm not going to take it. Like, I don't understand this. And she also tells him about how she could hear his thoughts and his responses to her, like, unasked questions, essentially. Like, so it's almost as if she was asking them in her own brain and he was responding in his own brain, and she picked up on what he was responding to, or his response, I should say. She describes their connection as feeling woodsy, while Delano's feels like spring. It's like, all right. And then she tests her abilities to see if they can speak mentally now with him out of Wolven form, and they indeed can. Interesting.
Level up.
He says that it could be the Notum, or something else, because Nyktos wouldn't have been able to communicate with the Kiyu wolves prior to making them Wolven, so it makes sense for him to have spoken with them telepathically. Because if these Kiyu wolves were just wolves back then, they weren't human. So there had to have been some sort of mind speaking going on between the two. Can't have a fantasy series without some mind speaking.
Absolutely not.
But at least it's not between Poppy and Cass. I will say that. It's not as a conduit for like the FMC and MMC to like talk to each other. Kieran hears something outside, and they both step outside, Poppy with her dagger in hand, and he tries to tell her, like, stay back, I'm literally protecting you, like, stop. And he's, and she says, like, no, you know better, I'm coming.
I'm gonna do what I want.
And then a crowd of men emerges. And he says he has no idea what these things are. So they're not actually men. So one of the things is on the rise wall, and I personally had a lot of trouble tracking this battle as far as placement, because I'm like, okay, I thought they were on a balcony on like another story, but then they're talking about battling on
Yeah.
the ground, so I'm just gonna say they're on the ground. And so one of these things actually starts speaking, so that means that he's a man, I guess. And he says that she was foretold in the bones and should never have survived Lockswood. Lockswood is where the inn was that they were staying at the night her parents were killed. We haven't heard it referred to as that yet.
We have a name now. We have a name of a place.
So these people, men, things attack, and when stabbed, they start to bleed an oily black substance that reeks. And then when they die, they just kind of melt into a sludge. Fucking gross. They also don't have faces. They have like slits for eyes, and that's pretty much it. They don't have mouths. Fucking creepy.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Kieran says that they are germs. Germs.
Got it.
And the king appears, and Poppy is once again in only Castiel's shirt. So she just has so much bad luck when it comes to meeting the in-laws. She's either in torn clothes, in a dirtied shirt, half naked, like something. And the king goes to make a strike in her direction, and she kind of like flinches, like he's about to attack her, but he pulls her out of the way and takes a germ down. And he just kind of looks at her like, you thought that I was about to attack you? And she's like, no. But then Castiel's back. Hey, baby. Hey. They all finish killing off the rest of these things, and then Valen explains that while the Germs and the man were wearing like the same masks as the dissenters were wearing, so there's this constant like they're wearing these like silver and bronze masks. And while they were wearing those masks, which is what the dissenters wear, they were not dissenters. They are what's called the unseen, and they were known to wear those masks before the dissenters came around.
Yeah, so we have some infiltration going on, maybe.
Yeah, so my eye starts twitching. And
yeah.
And so now, what are the unseen? They are an ancient brotherhood, essentially a network of spies and soldiers supporting the deities from possible rebellions against their desire to unite all kingdoms under one rule, their rule. So very secretive, very, secret brotherhood kind of deal. If anyone's played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, very much like that secret culty brotherhood. And I am a sucker for a cult, so immediately my ears are perked. We also meet Haisa, who is the commander of the Crown Guard. The unseen may be behind the unrest that Kieran had previously mentioned, like all the crops and the burning homes and things. And Poppy kind of starts to go after Kieran for preventing her from fighting. She's like pretty sternly is like, you're never gonna fucking do that again. How dare you try to tell me to not fight for my life. And it's like I honestly had a moment where I was like, you gotta rein yourself in, girl. Like, what?
Yeah.
But then also it's a thing of like, they know how, not sensitive she is, but like they know how she reacts to being told not to fight for herself. So
yeah, I don't want to say it's a trauma response, but it's almost like, if you've been deprived of having control your entire life and you're up to 18, 19 years old and you get a taste of everything that you've been deprived from, she's got a lot going on. She's got a lot to weave through. So it's like, I feel like for where we're at in the plot and her development, I want to say it's warranted, but I do agree with you. It's kind of like maybe the way I want to word it is she hasn't learned how to allow people to help her.
Yeah.
There's no gray area for her. It's both extremes. So she's like learning that gray area now.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, because I think it's also accepting that help, and then knowing that they're not telling her that because they don't believe that she can defend herself. It's like, no, you just mean so much that we don't want you to be in that position. But she's like, but I want to be in that position. So
The hyper independence, because it's like she only feels like she can depend on herself. And I
yeah.
know that personally.
Yeah.
I'm working through it.
Yeah. So we understand where she's coming from. It was just surprisingly aggressive for her.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
but they do make up very quickly and start bantering again. So it's just a very interesting moment of kind of Poppy putting up a boundary and
Yeah.
saying like, hey,
Yeah.
you're never going to do that again, just so we're
Mhm.
clear. And he's like, you're right. My bad. I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
here's, and they make up and we move on. So it's like, oh my
Like
God,
asserting dominance for the first time,
yeah.
it sounds like, too.
Like healthy communication? What is
Yeah.
that? In a fantasy
What?
romance book? What the fuck?
What is this garbage? I'm just kidding.
So the three of them go back to the room and start to clean up yet again, because they all stink of this nasty sludge. And they also, want to clean up before discussing the attack with the king further as well and breaking that down. Questions continue to arise. So Poppy's parentage, Kieran once again brings up that her parents might not have been her parents, or at least who she thinks that they were. They could have lied about their own lineage. But there's so many questions surrounding them and why Poppy's powers are so strong if she was only half Atlantean.
Yeah.
Like, there's things that are not adding up here, and Kieran seems to be the only one at this point that's like willing to kind of do the awkward thing and be like, they might not have been your parents. I'm sorry.
Right.
So, but she like slowly is kind of coming around to the possibility of this.
Yeah.
It's not a knee-jerk reaction of like, no, you shut up. So if neither of her parents were her birth parents, that means that Ian would have turned vampire. And that is something that she just can't think about.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. Because all of this is also just banking on Alistair's words. So he easily could have been lying because he lied about so much else.
Right.
Like, Poppy might not even be descended from Malik for all they know.
We're at a point now where we're like, we don't know what the fuck to believe.
Yeah, it's like we have had so much information that we can't even tell is true, which is where Castiel's parents are going to come into play if we ever get to fucking talk to them. So Kieran leaves so they can finish getting change, and Cass takes off Poppy's shirt and can't help but put a boob in his mouth. And
why not?
He says that Poppy earned a reward for her bravery, and he gets one as well, because of her need, because he let her need to defend herself override his fear of losing her. He's like, well, I let you go fight even though I was terrified, so I get a present, I get a gift too, I get a reward.
Listen, I would do the same shit.
He says it's a mutually beneficial reward. And without hesitation, he just bites her right above her nipple and starts drinking from her while she grinds against his leg until she finishes. And it's a quickie, but is a goodie. And then Kieran and Jasper arrive to go over what happened, the unseen, the germs. We learn a bit more about the germs. I just love that word. It's so fun. Germs. So they are created from the soil of the gods and ether, and are used to do the bidding of the one who summoned them and essentially created them. So they were never living, nor did they ever live. So like they are just solely created from the ground and magic, only to do the bidding of the person that called upon them. Once they're like, their orders are complete, they die again. They just go into nothing. And they have no thoughts or will besides the orders that are given to them. So it's like, oh wow, that's kind of fucked. And Cass and others have mentioned certain beings or rules of, like, quote, the realm. And like, what realm do you speak of? And they refer to the land of the gods, which is called Elysium. And the Shadowlands is another realm. And this is where the Abyss is located and how the Veil is accessed. The Veil is where you go after you die. So it's not just like this mythical legend. It's like that's a place.
And
like
now
that's a full place.
Our map has expanded so much more.
So much more.
We're like, okay, so many places.
Yeah. Yep. Like, yeah, the map just continues expanding, and we're just like, oh, okay, so that's what that place is. Oh, that's what that name is. So
meanwhile, we're still waiting for fucking King Balin to hurry the fuck.
Yeah, and hurry up. And most of what Jansen said about Nyktos is true, but he likely mixed in lies to make himself sound more intelligent. Wow, never heard of someone doing that before. And because Nyktos also has a consort, but no one knows her name. She's only known as the consort. So if only those of godly blood can travel between the realms, how did the unseen get this like soil of the gods from Elysium? Well, you see, Elysium is just beyond the mountains of Nyktos. So like secrets on secrets. As Elysium is protected by rough, deadly seas and deadly mist. So, like, there must be a way to bypass, like, the mountains, right? Because, like, Kieran tells a quick story about how him and Castile tried to, like, sail around there for fun to try to get in there, but they nearly capsized and drowned. So it's like, okay, by sea, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
The mist will kill you outright if you try to go. So no mist. Can't go over it, can't go around it, but we gotta go under it. So there must be a way to bypass them, going under them. And Jasper starts listing off like all the people that they can consult about how to get there. And mentioning a Wilhelmina, which makes Castile kind of choke on his drink. And there's like, wait, Wilhelmina? Because Jasper calls her Willa.
Who is it?
And Cass is like, what's her last name?
Who is it?
Her last name's Collins.
Fucking
Willa Collins is an Atlantean. She's fucking alive. So Castile's previous theory about like, hey, I think Willa Collins might have been Atlantean.
Oh.
But so not only is she actually Atlantean, she is also alive.
Oh.
And Castile gets the biggest smile ever, and both of his dimples are on display. That never happens.
Oh.
Like, she only wrote Poppy's favorite book, and all three of them, so now Kieran's father included, start talking about the diary. Poppy just wants to die inside, and I don't blame her.
Yeah.
We learn that Willa is nearly 2,000 years old. No wonder she started writing a fuck journal. That's how you solve your boredom problems. You don't destroy cities. You start a fuck journal. You start a blog. You start a podcast. Okay? And she also happens to be one of Atlantea's elders. And the elders is a council who helps rule alongside the king and queen when they are needed. In order to get to Elysium safely under the mountains, you have to travel through the tunnels that Castile, Kieran, and Malik happen to spend their childhood exploring. Who'd have thought? So they're like, well, wait, yeah, there were actually times where we would be walking through and then kind of feel this sense of like, we shouldn't go in there, and they would turn around and go home. And it's like, or they would go another path or something. So clearly there's some, defense mechanisms, but it's not deadly. And the next day, they are prepping to just kind of get ready for their day, and Castile has a really cute moment of just kind of like being in awe of her, and just talks about how in awe of her that he is, and it's so cute. And Poppy reflects on the people who were stoning her randomly, and says that she believes that like if they had had the chance to like maybe try to talk it out with those people, they might have been able to change their minds. And if they had, she wouldn't have wanted them killed, even if they did still stone her. Like, sure, go through due process, but like not execution. And because like if those people and others had been deceived by Alistair, they should be given the chance to accept the actual truth and not commit treason, almost like Poppy and the Ascended.
It's really a testament to her character on like seeking truth and justice, on trying to validate like, hey, if they had just had the opportunity, this wouldn't have happened. So through it all, through everything that she's suffered, through all the abuses, all of the deceptions and the treachery, it's like she still is just cares about people at the core of her being, and it's so heartwarming.
because Castile doesn't really fully want to agree, but they do compromise. So now
he's like,
now
he's like, no, they deserved it.
yeah, he pretty much is like, well, I still would have killed him. And she's like, okay, what about this?
And I would have done it again.
She's like, what if in the future you don't immediately kill them? We like give them a chance to talk and maybe try to take it back first. And he's like, fine, but if they still try to come at you, I get to kill them. And she's like, all right, you get to kill them.
She's like, take a deep breath.
And now they have to discuss Poppy's claim to the throne. And while Cass has never had a desire to take the throne as king, if Poppy is queen, he will become queen. Or if Poppy is queen, he'll become king.
He is a queen.
Castile's a
be
queen.
so fucking for real. He does both so damn well.
Oh, I want to see a drag queen Castile now.
Oh,
Oh,
guys,
that'll be so good.
Take this opportunity and run with it.
And he feels internally that if he were to assume the throne himself, so not by way of like, oh, well, Poppy's queen, so that makes me king. If he were to say, like, no, I'm going to be king, it would be him also kind of accepting that Malik is gone. And that's something that he doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
And they will, of course, still go after him to free him. But even if they do, Malik is not going to be in the right frame of mind to rule. So they're kind of going through their options here.
Yeah.
So Castile says that he's going to follow her in whatever choice she makes, whether she would want to like take the throne or whether she'd want to leave. Because unfortunately, if they don't take the seats of king and queen, they can't stay in Atlantia because Poppy is queen of the Wolven. Like, regardless of if she takes the Atlantean throne, if someone else were to sit the throne instead of her, there would be a huge division in the kingdom. Yeah. So the only option would be for them to like hightail it out of there, which of course they wouldn't want to do because this is Castile's home. Like, of course they don't want to do that. But if Poppy does claim the throne, there may also be pushback, because which they also need to be prepared for, because Poppy would essentially be like usurping the throne in a sense. Like she was never in line in her lineage, like as far as she's not in the line of the Daenerys, so she would be just kind of stepping in. Yeah. And it's Poppy's choice. It is all hers, and he will follow her, to quote SJM, to whatever end. Yeah. Poppy goes over and over all of the options laid before her, like what kind of ruler would she be? And it's essentially the Captain America situation. she had a kind heart before having all the power, and claiming that power doesn't immediately make her a tyrant. So it's like that's what they wanted from Captain America. They wanted to find little Steve Rogers and his weak little body, because he was always fighting for what was right, even when he didn't have all of the power to do so. So, of course, it would only make sense that by giving him all of the extra powers, he would just continue to do the same thing, which thankfully he does. Same hope for Poppy. Castile is actually just as scared about assuming the throne as she is. He has the same concerns about making the wrong decisions. Like, what if we do this and then something happens from it? And he's like, that's just kind of what happens when you rule a kingdom. Yeah. And Poppy goes to kiss him, but a knock interrupts them. Damn you. As if we haven't gotten enough smut already. It is Delano. And he says that there was an accident. A child was hurt and they need Poppy's help. And word has quickly spread about her powers to ease pain. Because if they are summoning her, and they didn't actually bring these people to the palace, then obviously the people around the area know already. A healer is with them, but they've reported that there's nothing to be done. This child is going to die. So immediately they are springing into action like, well, not on my watch.
Right.
They take Seti into town and to the home with the dying child. And the kid's head is like kind of caved in and she is showing no signs of life. But Poppy's like, I have to try anyway. Yeah. And she does. And she brings this little girl back to life. And Castile calls her a goddess. To him and those around them, she is one.
Absolutely.
Like, he's like, the deities weren't able to do that. The Ascended can't do that. Like, the gods pretty much can't even do that. Like, you are a goddess of your own right. And once again, everyone around them has dropped to one knee and they are bowing their heads. And Poppy's eyes are once again like kind of glimmering with the silver moonlight. And as they leave, Cass leads her not to Seti, but somewhere else. He's like, no, let's go check out this like quiet, serene garden, actually, and pulls her into like the shadowy alcove and says, I really don't give a fuck about the garden. And he kind of puts her back up against a wall and starts getting close to her, explaining that, like, girl, you just brought a little girl back to life.
It's a
I am
big deal.
simply
It's a big deal.
big deal. Like,
Yeah.
only a god can do that. Only one god.
Who?
Nyktos.
Ah!
Only he can do that. So, and what a surprise, Castile starts getting hot and heavy with her because he's
As
turned on by, as usual. And he's like, no, the Wolven are actually making sure no one disturbs them while they talk. So he holds her against the wall, and then she hitches her legs around him, and they just fuck right there. It's delightful. They have after their quickie, they continue strolling hand in hand around the city, and walking through, they enter a museum. And if we recall, Poppy was never able or allowed to go into any of the museums in Solus. So she's like, hell yeah, let's go in a museum. I want to learn about your history. And Kieran shows her some art of Nyktos that he had previously mentioned. So, long story short, Nyktos is depicted in Atlantean art with his woven form, but sometimes his woven form is painted behind him, which is to signify his ability to shift, and other times it's next to him to signify his connection to the woven, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And in one of the art pieces, Nyktos is pictured with two felines at his feet, two big ones, and they look like cave cats. And Poppy's like, oh, hey, I saw one of those, and they were caged up in Carcedonia. And Castile's like, they've been extinct for like a long, long time, so no, you haven't. They likely told you that it was a cave cat, but it was not one. And she's like, it was a pretty big cat, but
I think I would remember seeing that.
It's explained that the two cats in this art piece are meant to depict Nyktos' children with the consort, but not like the god, like other gods, like his actual blood relative children. But like the consort, no one knows the children's names. It was all kept very, very secret. So it's just like, so much mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So they have dinner, and then they actually go to explore the beaches. And there's a nearby celebration that they're going to go crash. And all of the other Atlanteans leave. So it's pretty much just Castile, Poppy, and the Wolven that go, because it's a Wolven party. So I guess only the Wolven can crash. But they get to the bonfire, and they find a spot, and they sit in the sand, and Kieran breaks off, and he goes to talk to another woman named Lyra.
Ooh.
So Poppy watches all the Wolven dance in the firelight. It very reminiscent of the from Game of Thrones again. Game of Thrones references. All of the, of course, now the term is escaping me. Please fill it in. The Dothraki.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of like their kind of parties when they're filmed outside, and they're all just kind of like gyrating and dancing and just like having fun and free and just
I was going to say,
life.
I love this scene so much because it's such a nice break from all of the drama and action that we've had. All the drama and action is great. This scene I just thought was so sweet. I was like, oh, this is a nice little happy fun time.
Yeah, because we not only get to see like the two of them have some relief, but it's also like amongst all of these other people that are also just having fun around them.
Yeah. Kieran's like, I'm going to go hang out. Oh, yeah. Pop off, Kieran. You deserve it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So she continues to watch them, and then Delano comes up and offers a hand, asking if she'd like to dance. And Poppy says yes, but she's like, I don't know how to dance though. And he's like, it's totally fine. Does it look like anybody else around here knows how to dance? And I would be like, yeah, it does actually. But she quickly gets the hang of it, and she's swaying. He's spinning her in circles. And then all of a sudden, she's handed off from Delano to Kieran, and she's dancing with Kieran. And then she's handed off to Lyra. And then just one to one from people that she recognizes, some she doesn't recognize. And then finally, Castile like is in front of her, and he's just watching her like hot,
like deadpan.
Yeah, just. So they return to the blanket so that Poppy can like catch her breath, and he tells her that he's so turned on right now because he loves hearing her laugh. Like, he loves her laugh so much he could drown in it. And I love the moments where the like MMC just comments on the laughter, like Reese does with Feyre, and it's just like, your laughter is the most beautiful sound, and I just love it. And then they kind of just start hanging out back on their blanket, and Poppy is surveying the crowd and spots Kieran and Lyra walking away from the fire and the party. And then she kind of looks back, tunes back into the dancing for a little bit, then looks back again and spots Kieran on his back and Lyra kneeling between his legs.
Okay, Kieran, get it!
Beachy blowjob?
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Kieran has been serving everyone else. Now he about to get served.
And Poppy does not fully understand what's going on, but she eventually makes the connection. Because, like, the way that it's described is like, yeah, he was kind of leaning back on his arms, and Lyra was bobbing her head up and down between his legs like she does when she's riding Castile. And it's like, wow, I wonder what's happening.
Where is the sex book? Where is the sex book?
And that's the only reason she knows. So that's the only reason she knows what's happening, is because of that diary. So she continues watching them, even though she feels like she shouldn't. But they feel no shame in being watched or watching others. So it's very sex positive amongst the Wolven. Like, and they're not the only ones. Like, there's others that, like, probably end up topless and that are also gyrating and do these things. He's like, we're all here to just have a good time, man. It's not necessarily an orgy where we're all fucking with one another, but we're just breaking off into our relative groups and we're just gonna fuck around each other and no one's gonna care.
Now I'm thinking of that scene from The Matrix, the second one, where they open up and they're in the cave.
Yes. Yeah. Totally.
So now I'm combining the Dothraki with the Matrix. I need to stop.
Oh my god. And so Castile notices that she's kind of getting hot and heavy around this, and as she's kind of like sitting in his lap a little bit, he's starts to finger her, and she sees 3 Wolven kind of break off and go into a tent together and start fucking together, and which prompts her to ask Cass, like, have you ever had a threesome? And he's like, yeah, I have, with a whole manner of people. Bisexual husband?
Woo!
Oh my god. And then Poppy finishes and then turns to him and she's like, I want to go somewhere private right now. And he's like, say less, okay? And he leads her to where, you know, they're gonna go. And then she starts to kiss him, and then she drops to her knees and unbuttons his pants and gives him her first blowjob.
Let's go.
And of course he enjoys it. Girlie even swallows.
Okay, give her props.
That's a jump.
Give her props.
Oh my god. All the flowers to Poppy. Not only your first blowjob and you're taking it all, but then you swallow.
The subtitle of this book needs to be called Poppy's Sexploration, because she really did a lot. She did a lot this book.
She does a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not going to say what else she's getting into, but this book, this half of the book, she's going
so
through
far
a lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah. And then he finishes off this chapter and her, telling her, and actually, no, he doesn't finish her this time. Well, no, they do fuck, actually.
Yeah.
After he finishes, I think. If I remember. Either way, even if they don't, whatever. And the last thing that he tells her in this chapter is, all I ever need is you now, always.
Oh.
Wound. And that's where we're finishing this half of the book.
That's it.
That's it. That's all we're giving you.
But that was half of the book.
That's half the fucking book.
That was only half. I feel like I've lived 1,000 fucking lifetimes.
About pretty much.
Yeah.
But you know what that means? Since we have reached the end of the episode, it's time for some fan art. And I will say, the last piece of fan art that we're going to show is like not super NSFW, but just keep in mind wherever you're watching, whether it's on YouTube, whatever, just so you know. So this first one is going to be Poppy and Kieran. Kieran is in Wolven form, and we see Poppy with the bloodstone dagger. She's also got the scratches on her thigh with the bite mark. My favorite part, though, her tits are big, and you can see her stomach through her dress.
So good.
You see her little pouch in the dress, and fuck, I love this. Speaking of, this is by @TheCleverCrow on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to you. Thank you for that. Next piece of art is Kieran, or I'm sorry, not Kieran, Castile in the Woven. And this is kind of beginning of the book when we first open. And he is kneeling in front of her. And I just love his cape behind her, just the look in his eyes, and just the wolves coming in from behind him too. So it's like, ooh, you're in danger. But
so good.
So this also gives you a better picture of like when we were freaking out about watching him walk towards her as he's killing all those people because he's dressed like that.
Yeah.
Even though this is technically a different part in the book, you get what we mean. It's hot. Doesn't matter. And that piece of art is brought to you by @Dominique Wesson. We love you for that.
Thank you.
Some next art. It's sad art. This is going to come from @luxury_banshee. And this is Poppy and Castile with Poppy dead and the arrow protruding from her chest. And it's Castile crying over her. And there's the blood trees over them. It's so beautiful. You can see the vines coming up and like taking over her legs.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
The whole portrait is done very well, but the background, like the details in the background and the landscape is just really good.
It's so beautiful. So excellent work. Thank you for breaking our hearts all over again.
Yes. Thank you.
So that we leave you on a high note, because we're not going to leave you with some sad art, because we know Poppy survived. Poppy is good. What we are going to leave you with is by @Romana Bach, and they have brought some shower sex art. Of Cass and Poppy, and he's just holding her up against this shower and the bubbles are coming, and it's just you can tell what that scene is like just from, even though it's cut off at their heads, you can picture what's underneath that, so that is delectable. At some point we probably will try to join, like, it would be fun to join a Patreon of some artist or something to get the real NSFW art of this stuff. Right now, it just seems like a lot of it is geared towards like the SJM, Rebecca Yaros kind of stuff because they're more mainstream at this time. Yeah. But damn, it's going to come around. From Blood and Ash is having its moment right now, and it's only a matter of time. So that was half the book.
Half the book, guys.
Only half. So we will see what is to come with the second half, because oh my god, what the fuck else could happen? And to be honest, neither of us fully remembers the rest of this book, and we've already read it once. So
we're going in blind.
We are going in blind. We are going in like Poppy into her memories. It's just pieces are going to start coming back like, oh yeah, this happened, then that happened.
Right. So we can't wait to continue. And now Poppy's got some more sexual curiosities to explore, perhaps. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen when Poppy and Cass take the throne? Like, is anyone else going to try to kill them? Probably. Let's hope not. But with JLA, we truly never know.
She opened up the second chapter of this book, almost killing off half of our main cast.
Right.
So who the fuck knows? So that's where we'll leave it for this week, and tune in next time for the continuation of The Crown of Gilded Bones. And also, before we go, we're going to tease a little something. We'll have a special guest next week that we are so pumped to talk to. So definitely make sure your notifications are on for when that episode drops. We try our best to keep it on schedule, but life happens and you want those notifications on so you can tell exactly when it drops. So make sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Blood, Books, and Binge-Watching. Same name on Spotify. And if you want to watch our faces on a bigger screen, great, because we're also on YouTube, also by the same name. So we have had a bloody good time and hope you have too. We will see you later.